In this week's video, I'm going to show you how I made this indoor climbing tower out of dimensional lumber and some plywood. So when I'm using 2x4s for fine furniture, I will dress them so they don't necessarily look like 2x4s. I'm doing something similar for this project, but since this is a piece of furniture for kids and it's not going to be staying there forever, I didn't necessarily go as crazy with it as I would with a piece of furniture. I basically just cut off the edges so I had nice square edges. I also didn't want this to be as thick as a 2x4 because then it automatically reads as 2x4. I made them a little bit thinner, and then I just planed them down as well, so all of my surfaces were clean and clear, and all of my corners are essentially a little bit smaller than 4x4 lumber, and 4x4 lumber is kind of expensive. It's usually full of knots. I didn't really want to deal with it, so I dressed about 20 2x4s in the same way, and then I glued 10 of them together in order to get my corner posts. It's going to give me a cleaner look. You could see the 2x4s I found were almost completely knot free. I got lucky on this trip to the store, which does make a difference, and once they were all trimmed down, they were a little less than 3 inches thick and a little less than 3 inches wide, so they look more streamlined than just using straight dimensional lumber, which personally I find important for stuff like this. The final look of the piece changes quite drastically when you do that. If you don't want to do that, you could easily make this out of 4x4s and 2x4s without any of the dimensioning that I did. The next step is going to be putting all of my joinery in my 5 posts. I have 4 corners and then 1 floating post in between the middle of the bed, the upper part I'm calling a bed / loft. And my joinery for this is going to be lap joints. Since I joined all of these boards together like a sandwich, it's actually pretty easy to decide where that lap joint needs to be. It's just going to go halfway through the piece and essentially completely remove one of those pieces of lumber. It was important for me. I dimensioned more material than I needed because it's important if you're building this way that all of your pieces are exactly the same size. I cut the lap joints on the radial arm saw. Sometimes I switch out a dado blade in there, but I'm removing so much material. The climbing cut on the radial arm saw already has a tendency to want to grab. The dado stack makes that more prevalent, so I stuck with just a regular blade. So I'm basically putting lap joints wherever I'm having a cross member meet my piece, and then on the bottom and the top sometimes I'll have a cross member on the corners as well, so I put lap joints on both sides, leaving just a little notch, but you'll see how I fill that in later. And then all of my pieces, the tops get laps, and then about 3 feet down I'm also putting a lap, and that is where the main bed is going to go. So I drew all this up for the customer beforehand. It's basically about 5 feet underneath and about 3 feet up top, but those are rough dimensions. This is a little bit shorter than 8 feet once it's all said and done. And then I could stack my 2 pieces together. You could see how I have my laps in the front, the laps on the top and the bottom, and then the one side which is going to have a climbing wall with just holes cut into it, I'm going to seal that plywood piece into here so it's nice and sturdy. In order to do that, I cut a dado through the middle of this one beam all the way through, and I did it for the other side as well, so that piece of ply can be glued and nestled into the edge. When you're building something for kids, especially something that has to hold the weight of potentially multiple children at once, there's no such thing as overbuilding. It's safer to overbuild it than it is to underbuild it and someone gets hurt. So that is something to keep in mind during this whole process. I didn't film it, but I had a piece of 3/4 inch ply that I ripped down to size. You could see this is a little bit over 2 feet wide, and then I could cut it down as well because like I said, this is not 98 inches, and I can nestle it in between that dado groove and glue everything together. Before I glued both sides, the one side is going to have a ladder, which means I'm going to sink a dowel into it. So before I glued it up, it's obviously going to be easier to cut these holes on the drill press where everything's nice and square. So I went through and drilled roughly where those holes are going to be. The spacing worked out to be almost about 8 inches, which was just about perfect. And the material I'm using for this was about 1/4 and 1 inch wide. And then I could glue together all of my parts. This one side will be facing against a wall, so it doesn't have any bells or whistles. It's just kind of a skeletal structure. You could see how I'm putting the laps on the bottom, which now will add structure to the bottom. And then I could clamp this one in place. I am checking diagonals on both of these roughly. It's a little bit harder to do with these bigger pieces and clamps, but I run them roughly the same size. Now before I put together the structure, I already posted a video of this on the channel, so I'm going to go through it really quickly. I made a honeycomb climbing structure for the bottom. It's basically just 1/2 inch ply ripped down oversized. My final dimensions were about 6 inches wide, cut down into 12-inch pieces on the miter saw, put 30-degree bevels on both edges, and I can make 6-sided hexagons. So there were 16 of these. You could see I started with a stack, glued them all together, made sure they were all in the positioning that I wanted, taped them together so they could dry nice and square, and then screwed all of those pieces together. I'm going through this very quickly because I posted a full video of this because it was kind of a standalone project on the channel. If you want to know exactly how I made this in a little more detailed aspect, that video is about 2 weeks old at this point. So once my panels were dry, I can knock them up against the honeycomb. Getting these to fit around the honeycomb was obviously pretty paramount, so that's why I made that before I made anything else. And then I could just clamp my 2 sides to it and then cut all of my cross members, and I'll know it will fit perfectly when I take this all apart, transfer it to the customer's house, and then put it back together. I made sure all of my corners were plumb so that when I go and cut my cross members, my panels aren't leaning one way or the other. And then I could just measure between those 2 laps. Like I said, I have this whole stack of 2x4s already dressed to the same dimensions, so I could just rip down this little bit of material and then put it in right into those laps. You could see now as it's coming together just how strong and structural this will be, because the weight is setting right on top of that cut 2x4, so this piece can almost literally never fall out of place because it's built in a way that all of the load is transferred onto my verticals. So for the other part that's going to connect the ladder, at this point I can mark where the holes are, mark them onto my 4th leg essentially, and drill those holes. Now because all of this has to come apart, you have to get kind of clever in thinking about how it will go together versus just building it for one spot off the go. So for this second post, I'm drilling my holes all the way through so I can slide my dowels all the way through, and that means I had to drill it from both sides. So I drilled the hole saw through one, put a pilot through the hole saw hole into the other side so I know they would align perfectly, and even after removing the plugs, I still had a little bit of material to remove, which I did with a hand drill. And then that is what those plugs look like. I could slide this one into place, get the rough spacing for it, and then I could cut my bottom. You see how my bottoms are still aligning in those laps. And then this post will have to permanently come off. So all of my connection points are getting 2.5 inch lags. They're a little bit more decorative than the stainless steel lags because it's going inside. I tried to put as many as I could facing towards the wall so you wouldn't see them, but there are a couple circumstances where I couldn't do that. And then I started framing out the loft area. So this middle loft section is going to come across in one piece. So I just towed some edges into my cross members, and then I added some slats around the entire perimeter. I'm going to sink a 3/4 inch piece of ply on top of this. So all of my bracing for this, I wanted to keep 3/4 of an inch under that top edge so the plywood is flush. So you can see that bottom bracing was about 1 inch, and then these slats I'm putting on top are about 1.5 inches. Everything's just screwed and towed into place, and I'm left with about 3/4 inch depth so the ply will go in. Before I put the bed in place, I routed out a circle, which will be how you get into the loft from the climbing wall. Made a really simple circle jig just with a scrap piece of ply, took off the faceplate on my palm router and drilled this in using the same holes. I have a spiral cut bit in there, and this is about a 16-inch circle, so the radius point I did on here was about 8 inches, and I could just swivel it around in a circle until that material is removed. Before I got to the end, I made sure I braced the back of this circle because I am cutting it vertically, so when I get all the way through it doesn't pop out the back. But you can see once I get to the edge, I can easily just lift this out of place, and then that is the opening for the top edge of that climbing wall, and that is how I cut that. And then after that, I mostly waited to do the ply so I didn't get a bunch of shavings on the top there. I can cut the ply in place. Like I said, this is fitting into a corner, so the dimensions were kind of set, and the width is a little over 2 feet at this point, so I had to put the ply in 2 pieces, which isn't that big of a deal because I've seen this a couple times since I installed it, and there's blankets up top now, you can't even see the base. So then to finish the climbing wall, I put a brace on the structure, and you could see how now the wall will pop off, and when I transport it, it's going to be important to note that because that is how it's going to go back together. And I just did a series, tried to be as random as possible with hole saws holes, and I did a couple different sizes from 4 inches I think to 3, and then 2.5 and 2. And the problem with that is I don't have a corded drill with a big enough chuck for the hole saw, so my batteries kept running out. While I was waiting for some batteries to charge, I decided to put a brace between this upper cantilevered section and where the wall is going to be, because there's going to be a swing hanging off of here. And I think the cantilever I had would have been fine, but once again, peace of mind, put an angled piece here. It's not exactly a 45, but similar principle. Connecting that angled cantilever to the entire piece will make it just much more structurally sound up top there to hang some weight off of. And then I could glue that in place like you saw in the video. I just did half flaps on all of my connection points so it's nice and flush. I lined it up and cut it with a circular saw, and then I could flip my board over. You could see I only went just to the bottom of the piece because you'll get a lot of tear out with the hole saw. I could flip it over and finish drilling those holes. While I had it apart, I decided to put the dowels in place. The dowels I bought, I believe, were clothes rack dowels, which for some odd reason are cheaper than buying actual dowels. So it's a little over, I think it was about 5 or 6 feet. It was easier to put it in place without that wall on. All I did was slide them in and cut them flush. And then once the holes were all set in this side, I could slide the whole thing back together. Like I said, one of the challenges of doing something like this, if you have to move it, is just making it so it's still strong, but can come apart and go back together pretty easily. So you could see all of my pieces slide into place quite nicely. Once that was in place, I could then cut the members for the top. These I put on there once again to add structure, but I also figured up top here, if you put a blanket up there, it could kind of turn into a fort-like area, which will be much easier to do if you have those cross members also up top. One of the last bits of fabrication I had for this was that big opening that's now by the loft. The back sides are going to be against the wall, so it wasn't a big deal, but this area I had to frame out. Once again, I'm using half laps to do that, so I cut all my pieces to fit, and then I could put half laps in the corner. At this point, my radial arm saw was acting up because I had some sawdust stuck in the bearings. This was right before Christmas, so it was a mad rush to get everything in the shop done. So instead of taking it apart and fixing it, I just cut those laps on the table saw. It's also convenient to be able to know how to do things multiple ways for those purposes. And then that is basically the frame. To put what I'm doing is I'm stringing rope through this whole piece to kind of create a cargo net, which will also act as something you can't fall through. So I'm using eye screws for that. I roughed out some dimensions, and I went with about 1.5 inch spacing, and I just pre-drilled all of my holes for the eye screws, so it was easier to put it in place and work on it when I was up in the air on a ladder and also vertically. I glued this together with epoxy because I was running out of time at this point. It's a little bit colder, so Titebond 3 will set up much slower in my shop. 5-minute epoxy, I could put it on there, hammer this into place because like I said, this will also have to come out. And then this whole frame is also screwed in around the entire perimeter into the whole frame so that not only can you not fall through the rope, but you can't knock this frame out as well. And then to do the eye hooks, I just put a hex key, chucked it up in my saw. The hex key is angled, which makes it going into the saw pretty easy. And then I could just use that to screw all these in, and that was also a huge time saver. And that is what the edge looks like with all of those eye hooks, eye screws. And then for the top and the bottom, I drilled 2 holes for the rope to come in and come out. And I started weaving the rope through this once again in a random pattern. And this is 100 feet of rope, and I naively thought I wasn't going to use the whole thing. And about halfway through I realized I was, so I actually ended up taking this whole thing out and weaving through all 100 feet, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm doing, just kind of randomly going through all of the hooks to create that cargo net. Before I finished, I decided to chamfer all of the climbing wall holes to help with splinters, but to also give it a more finished look. This is cabinet grade ply, but it's a blonde wood ply, and the veneer's a little cheap compared to the maple veneer that I usually get. So by doing that, sanding became much easier, and I tested a chamfer versus a round over, and I liked the way the chamfer looked better, so that is what I went with, and I did that on both sides. I was happy I did that. I also strung some LED lights up top. They're super cheap to get a hang of. They're battery powered, so makes life easier. And then that is the hanging swing on the cantilever. I also did an arch cutout over the doorway, which I didn't film, but this is the basic structure in the shop. And then, like I said, the whole thing had to come apart. This is what it looks like finally installed in the space. And I don't have a great video of it because, like I said, I was in a time crunch, but this is taking it apart in the shop, transferring it and taking it to the space. You could see how it came apart in a lot of pieces, but I was also trying to focus on taking it apart in the least amount of pieces as possible so it would also go back together easily. So it was flush against the wall. I did remove the baseboard, but you could see I could use the honeycomb to get that loft area in place, slide my 2 edges on, then the ladder pieces all slide back into place, and I could put the pieces up top, and all in all it was transported pretty well. I was happy with that. I don't know if I filmed it, but I also found studs in the wall and attached this thoroughly to the wall so this thing doesn't budge at all. Even though technically it can't tilt forward, it would hit the ceiling. Obviously you want this as structurally sound as possible. Put the loft back in place, string all the lights, and then the rope frame also pops back into place, and then I could put the arch in there as well. And that is basically essentially what that looks like. But these are pretty cool structures if you have the space for them. I know the kids really enjoyed it, and you could really get creative and unique with how you decide to do it, and it's all made out of 2x4s.